Hey guys, thank you for joining. Today I'm going to show you how to create a KPI card visual in Power BI. I'm going to do this step by step as always. No custom visuals needed here. I'm going to be using just the new card visual, a little bit of DAX and conditional formatting. And that's it. And these are the results. So guys, this is going to be fun and let's do this. Before we get started, this is the final result that we're trying to achieve today. Real quick, here we have tech companies. If you play with the slicer here, you will see that this is changing dynamically for each company. We have three companies here, Amazon, Microsoft, and Apple, and this is the combination of the three of them. And as you can see, here we have the current average stock price, and we are comparing this number against the previous month, and that's why we have 0.48% higher than previous month here, then the up arrow. And then you can see the same logic for the other companies as well. So guys, no more talking and let's do this. As you can see, we have three different tables here. We have our DAX measures table. We're going to store our measures here. We also have the dates table or calendar table. It's already built. And we also have here our tech company, which is the fact table. So let's get started. The first thing you want to do here is to create a measure. Right click here, new measure. And let's call this measure average stock price. And here we're going to use a calculate function, the average function here, and then it should be tech stock price. And for the filter, so we want to make sure that we include every single company, and this should be Apple. We have also here Amazon and then Microsoft. And here we also want to make sure that we keep the other filters, okay? So keep filters here and then close parentheses. We are good to go. So we just created our first measure, and this should be the current average stock price. Let's create another measure here. And we're going to be focusing on the previous month. So this is going to be previous month average stock price. And we're going to use here the calculate function. So you might have guessed, we're going to reference the measure that we just created here. And then you might be familiar with this function, date@. So that should be this one right here. And here we're going to be comparing actuals versus previous month, or current versus previous month. So we need to select here month. I think we are good to go now. Let's hit approve. Perfect. We need to create another measure here, and this is going to be growth. New measure. Let's call this stock price growth percentage. Okay. We're going to use variables here. So the current stock price is going to be basically the average, one of the measures that we just created, this one right here. And then the other variable is going to be previous month stock price. As you might have guessed, here we need to reference the other measure, the previous month measure. Let's keep working here. And we care about growth. So the other variable, let's call this growth. This is going to be, you might be familiar with this function as well. So the current stock price, the variable that we just created, minus the previous month, the variable that we just created as well, previous month. There you go. So we are referencing here variables, and then return. This should be just growth. This should be fine. Let's hit commit. And then you can also customize this if you want. Just, this is percentage, 2 decimals, that's fine. And then the average stock price, this is gonna be in dollars, just 2 decimals here. And you're gonna do the same for the other measure. in dollars. And I'm going to share with you this file as well so you can follow along. And now this is the time to create our last measure. And this is going to be very similar to the growth measure that we just created. So we're going to duplicate that. Let's do this for now. Go over here, Control C, right click, new measure, Control V. So let's remove the percentage for now. And this is fine. This is also fine. And then what we need to do here is to add a couple of more variables. One for the up arrow. And here we're going to use this popular function unicar. This should be 129145. And then for the down arrow, something similar here, unicar, and this should be 129147. I want to share with you a link as well so you can play with these unicar values. And then for return, we're gonna make a couple of changes here, okay? Remember, we have to break this down in pieces. And as you can see here, we have previous month, and next to it, we have also the amount that we had for the previous month. And then next to it, we have parentheses, and then we have the up or down arrow, and then the percentage. So that's something that we need to customize. And let's do this. So this is previous month, the first piece. So we are good to go here. And then we have to use ampersand here. And here we need to reference the other piece, which is the previous month. And this should be one of the variables, okay? So it's right there, perfect. So we also need here another ampersand. We need some space. And here what we need to do is add another ampersand here. And this is gonna be the other piece, which is parentheses, right? So parentheses here. Parentheses should be there, and then we need also ampersand here, and here we need to add the up or down arrow. So for this one we need to add a condition, okay? If growth is greater than 0, it should be up. If it's less than 0, it should be down. So here we're going to be referencing one of the measures, which is the growth measure. It's going to be this one right here. If this is, let's do something cool here. If this is blank first, just give me nothing. But if this is not blank, then give me this one right here. So let's do this, stock price. And then the logic works like this. If this is greater than 0, so then give me the up arrow right there. If not, give me the down arrow. So remember, we are referencing the variables here, okay? Perfect. So we are good now with the up or down arrow, and next to it we need to have the percentage. And for that percentage, this is basically growth. Check this out. This should be the variable that we have here, growth. Perfect. And then finally we need to close parentheses. Close parentheses right there. And let's approve the changes and see what happens. It seems like it's working. So now let's test it. Here we have the new card visual, it's already there, as you can see. So let's test the measure that we just created, which is this one right here. And let's see what happens. See right there? So this is the result. As you can see, we need to customize a little bit better. We need to reduce decimals here, and then the percentages also need to be corrected here. So let's quickly work on those adjustments. We go back over here. So let's add some space here as well. And then for stock price, we need to correct this. We're gonna be using here the format function, okay? We're gonna give this a little bit of format. So this is gonna be something like this, okay? We need dollar here. So this symbol right here, comma, right there. And then 2 decimals, should be good to go. So we just updated here for stock price, and then the other piece was growth. For growth, what we need to do is something similar. Let's use the format function here as well. And for this one, so let's use this real quick. This one right here, comma, the one right here, and then percentage symbol, close parentheses, And now we should be good to go. So let's give it a try. Let's approve these changes and let's see what happens. And here, as you can see, we have here the three pieces. The previous month, this is the text. Next to it, we have the amount that we have for the previous month. And then next to it, we also have the percentage. We don't see the up and down arrow yet. And this is because we are not comparing numbers yet. Let's keep going. So let's remove this measure for now. And let's apply the average stock price. So this is what we have now. The next step here is to go over the format pane. So let's hit call out here. And then let's select average stock price. Let's go over here over label. And then let's select this option, conditional formatting. And here we need to select this measure right here, stock price growth. So once we do that, check this out. Boom. The next step here is to go over here and then add it below. As you can see now, this is working perfectly fine. So we have the current average stock price here, and then at the bottom we have the previous month stock price, and also we have here the up and down arrow with the percentage here, the variation. So this is working perfectly fine. So the next step here is to make a couple of changes if we want. So let's add this. This is gonna be just for the tech company in general, and also this should be just for tech. Here this should be just for tech as well, and this should be just for tech. And then the next step here is to add an image. We can do that as well real quick. Let's go over cards here and then image, hit this option, select the image here. Let's look for tech and then hit fit. So we are good to go. Should be on the left side. So let's go back to call out, and here for label, perhaps let's add here 12. Perfect. Our next goal is going to be to replicate this for the other three companies. So let's do that real quick. Let's copy this, new measure, and here let's call this just for Apple, and then here this should be just Apple, if that makes sense. So let's delete this for now. There you go. This should work fine. So let's keep working for previous month. New measure here as well. And here this should be just for Apple. And this should be referencing the Apple measure. So we are good to go here. So let's keep doing this for the variation. This one right here. But this should be for Apple. New measure here. And then this should be just for Apple. Perfect. And here, remember, we are replacing just for Apple. Apple here. So we are good to go. And then let's do the same for the other measure. The measure where we made the adjustments. Control C. Right click again. Control V. And then let's update this to Apple. It should be just Apple. Right there. It's Apple here as well. And then this should be Apple as well. Remember that. So you want to make sure that this is referencing Apple, and this also should reference Apple. We are good to go. Let's approve the changes. Perfect. So before we keep going, so let's go over here, model view, and let's organize this a little bit better. So for Apple, hold down Control every single measure that has Apple, and then let's call this stock price Apple. Okay, so in that way we have this very well organized. And let's do the same for the other pieces. For tech, stock price tech. So we have a folder for tech as well. Now let's keep adding here these measures that we just created. So let's do that real quick. Let's go over Apple. It doesn't matter the order for now. So let's add here Apple. And then we're gonna do the same here for the label, if you remember that, for label. So what we need to do here is focus here on just Apple. And once we do that, let's go over label here. And here we need to reference Apple, this one right here. Hit OK. Boom. Below value. And then we need to change here the image. We can do that real quick as well. Let's go back over image here. And let's reference here Apple. And then this is applying for all, as you can see. So when you do that, you want to make sure that you are selecting just Apple. For Apple, you have just Apple, okay? And then for tech, so you can just update here just for tech again. Something to keep in mind when you're working with this. So let's go over Amazon. Let's drag Amazon into this visual as well. And then here we're gonna do the same. So let's get started with the image here first. And remember to select here just Amazon. So in that way you don't mess up with the other pieces. Here for Amazon, let's select Amazon here. Boom. So we are good now. And then let's go back to call out here. Let's make sure that you're selecting Amazon. And then for label, conditional formatting here again. For Amazon, we need to select this one right here. And then we need to put the position below value. We are good to go. Let's keep working, folks, for Microsoft. And then for Microsoft, let's go over here. Let's go over call out here as well. Remember, we need to select here just Microsoft. Go over label. Here, Microsoft. We care about this growth measure. Hit OK. Perfect. And then the next step here is to put this below value. And then, as you can see, we need to update the logo. Go over cards, image, make sure that you are selecting just Microsoft, remove Apple, and update this with Microsoft. Bingo. So now this is working perfectly fine, as you can see. And then if you want, you can also add more information here. So let's say that you want to add the measure for tech. You can do that here as well. And then you can also do this for previous month, and then growth if you want. Then you can start playing here if you want as well. Check this out. So everything here is changing dynamically. That means this is working perfectly fine. You can also change companies here if you want, and then you get the results there. Why are we getting here nothing? Because we don't have value for that specific period of time. Microsoft, there you have it. Microsoft is the oldest company here. And then if you remove the filters here, the slicers, you can also customize here the measures for Apple, Amazon, and Microsoft. There you have it, my friends. I hope you found this tutorial helpful, but now you have homework. So how about if you do the same analysis for the last 7 days? You can do that as well. Just follow the same steps. And then, like I said before, I'm going to share with you this report, this file, this data, so you don't have any issues on replicating this information. If you found this tutorial helpful, as always, please give me a thumbs up, share with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe if you don't want to miss anything. And also check these tutorials out if you want to keep sharpening your Power BI skills. Thank you guys for your time, and see you in my next tutorial.